Hello dear students, welcome to this class. So today we are going to continue the chapter The Tsunami. In the first part, we have read about the survival stories of tsunami related to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. In the second part, we'll read about the survival stories of Thailand. So let's see. This is the story of Thailand, and it is related to the girl named Tilly Smith, who saved the life of many people because of her knowledge and awareness regarding tsunami waves. And how she was successful in her attempt, let's see. Now, here is a story from Thailand. The Smith family from southeast England was celebrating Christmas at a beach resort in southern Thailand. Tilly Smith was a 10-year-old schoolgirl. Her sister was 7 years old. Their parents were Penny and Colin Smith. So, children, the story starts when the Smith family visited Thailand to celebrate Christmas on the Phuket beach. They belonged to southeast England. Tilly was only 10 years old when the incident happened. Her sister was 7 years old only, and they were there to celebrate the Christmas with their parents, Penny and Colin Smith. It was 26 December 2004. Deadly tsunami waves were already on their way. They had been triggered by a massive earthquake off northern Sumatra earlier that morning. Triggered means to be generated by. Now it was the day of 26 December 2004, and the dangerous tsunami waves were approaching to the beach. These waves were generated by the earthquake in the northern Sumatra at the same morning. The water was swelling and kept coming on. Penny Smith remembered. The beach was getting smaller and smaller. I didn't know what was happening. So the water waves were rising and coming forward. Penny remembers that incident and says that at that time she was unable to understand that what was going to happen because the sea waves were going back and they were ready to come back with the great force to destroy everything. But as it was the first time when Penny was watching all this, so she was scared to think about the next moment, that what will happen next. But Tilly Smith sensed that something was wrong. Her mind kept going back to a geography lesson she had taken in England just 2 weeks before she flew out to Thailand with her family. So, Tilly understood that something bad was going to happen because she had read in her geography lesson about all this just 2 weeks before in her class. After that, she came there to celebrate Christmas with her family. Tilly saw the sea slowly rise and start to foam, bubble and form whirlpools. She remembered that she had seen this in a class video of a tsunami that had hit the Hawaiian Islands in 1946. Her geography teacher had shown her class the video and told them that tsunamis can be caused by earthquakes, volcanoes, and landslides. So Tilly observed that the sea waves were rising high and the foams and bubbles could be seen in the water. In no time, it formed whirlpools, means round waves. She remembered about her geography class when her geography teacher showed them a video related to tsunami that occurred in Hawaiian Islands in 1946. The teacher also described them that tsunami is usually caused by an earthquake or volcanoes or landslides. So Tilly started to scream at her family to get off the beach. She talked about an earthquake under the sea. She got more and more hysterical. Said her mother Penny, I didn't know what a tsunami was, but seeing my daughter so frightened, I thought something serious must be going on. Hysterical means something to be excited and feeling panic in that way, you can say. Then Tilly started shouting and making her family aware to run away from there because these high waves were called tsunami that occurred because of earthquake under the sea. She was too excited and could not control herself, though her mother was also unaware of tsunami that time. But when she noticed her daughter was panic and shouting loudly, she also sensed that something bad was going to happen. So they all followed Tilly at the same time and ran away from the beach to a safer place. Tilly's parents took her and her sister away from the beach to the swimming pool at the hotel. A number of other tourists also left the beach with them. Then it was as if the entire sea had come out after them. I was screaming, "Run!" So, Tilly's parents returned to the hotel with their two daughters. Other tourists were also left the beach at the same time. When they were running, it was looking like sea waves were following them. They all were screaming with fear and guiding other people to run away from there to save their life. Now, the family took refuge in the third floor of the hotel. The building withstood the surge of three tsunami waves. If they had stayed on the beach, they would not have been alive. Withstood means endured without collapsing, or surge means force. Then the whole family and other tourists also took shelter on the third floor of the hotel. The hotel was strongly built and it was able to bear the forceful attack of three heavy tsunami waves. They all were thinking that if they were on the beach that time, they would be also washed away with the waves. The Smiths later met other tourists all who had lost their entire families. Thanks to Tilly and her geography lesson, they had been forewarned. Tilly went back to her school in England and told her classmates her terrifying tale. After some time, Tilly's family also met with some other tourists who lost their family members in that disaster. They were all very sad. Now Tilly's family thanked her and the geography lesson too, which make it possible to save them. After that incident, Tilly returned to England with her family and she also described this horrifying incident to her classmates. They all were very surprised and feeling proud of her because just because of her awareness and carefulness, she was able to save the life of many people. Now, in the third part, we'll discuss about the issue if the animals are able to sense any approaching disaster or natural calamity, because only a few animals were died in this disaster. So let's start. Before the giant waves slammed into the coast in India and Sri Lanka, wild and domestic animals seemed to know what was about to happen. They fled to safety. According to eyewitness accounts, elephants screamed and ran for higher grounds. Dogs refused to go outdoors. Flamingos abandoned their low-lying breeding areas, and zoo animals rushed into their shelters and could not be enticed to come back out. Enticed means to be dare to do something. Okay, now giant means big, and screamed means to trumpet here because the sound of elephant is called trumpet, and flamingo is a word. Now, before the big waves hit the coastal areas of India and Sri Lanka, all the wild and pet animals perhaps sensed this was about to happen and they ran to the safer places. Those people who witnessed all this, they described that elephants were trumpeting and running to the higher places. Even dogs were not ready to go for outing that day. Flamingos also left their living places and flew to their safer other areas. The zoo animals also ran to their shelters and never came back from there. Many people believe that animals possess a sixth sense and know when the earth is going to shake. Some experts believe that animals' more acute hearing helps them to hear or feel the earth's vibration. They can sense an approaching disaster long before humans realize what's going on. Though many people think that the animals have some ability or perhaps a sixth sense that make them able to sense about any natural disaster, some scientists also believe that the animal have the sharp hearing ability and this sharp hearing enables them to hear or to sense the vibrations of the earth. That's why they can feel about the disaster earlier than the human beings. We cannot be sure whether animals have a sixth sense or not, but the fact is that the giant waves that rolled through the Indian Ocean killed more than 150,000 people in a dozen countries, but not many animals have been reported dead. Though we cannot be sure about this fact of having such type of sixth sense and hearing capacity of animals, but the fact is that only a few animals were died in this disaster. Though approximately 1,50,000 people were deceased because of these waves in around 12 countries of the world. Along India's Cuddalore coast, where thousands of people perished, buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. Perished means died. The Yala National Park in Sri Lanka is home to a variety of animals, including elephants, leopards, and 130 species of birds. 60 visitors were washed away from the Patnangala beach inside the park, but no animal carcasses were found except for two water buffaloes. About an hour before the tsunami hit, people at Yala National Park had observed three elephants running away from the Patnangala beach. So, if we talk about the Cuddalore coast in Tamil Nadu, many people were died, but the animals like buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found safe. The another example of Yala National Park in Sri Lanka, where many different animals were kept, including 130 species of birds. There, no, the people who visited to the zoo were washed away with the waves. Around 60 peoples were 60 people were died, and these waves were generated from the Patnangla beach, which was inside the park, but no animal was harmed. They all were safe. Some people who witnessed the incident with their own eyes, they described that before an hour the elephants, around 3 elephants, were running from the Patnangla beach to go to the safer places. A Sri Lankan gentleman who lives on the coast near Galle said his two dogs would not go for their daily run on the beach. They are usually excited to go on this outing, he said, but on that day they refused to go and most probably saved his life. So, a gentleman who lived on the coast near Galle also described that he had his two pet dogs which liked to go for outing every day. But that specific day they denied to go on beach. Perhaps they sensed the calamity, so they were able to save themselves and the life of their master too, just because of their sensing power. Because of which they would be able to understand that something bad was going to happen, something like disaster was going to come. So, these are all the survival stories related to the different parts of the world which were affected by tsunami in 2004. I hope, children, that this chapter is clear to everyone. Thank you. Have a good revision of this chapter again. Thank you all. Have a nice day.